Okay, Noriko's Dinner Table is actually a sequel to a movie called Suicide Club, if I'm reading everything correctly. Now, it's under the horror section for Netflix, but it's actually more kind of like creepy psychological thriller than in any way, shape, or form what one would consider to be a true horror movie. Essentially, you have this girl, Noriko, who kind of has a very dull life, kind of the middle of nowhere, more kind of rural based, and there's the lure of the big city. She's also complaining that she doesn't get to use the internet for anything. And when she uses the internet, she pretty much goes to a website that is where young Asian girl or young Japanese girls kind of role play different lives. It's a message board. And then one day she decides that she doesn't like her current life and she prefers the life she has online better. Ironically, this movie came out, this was like really before Facebook really took over, and Facebook became this huge monumental force. And some people currently live their lives more online than they ever would, in real life. So that's pretty interesting to see this sort of topic dealt with years before it became an actual like non-stop trend. So she goes live this other life. She finds out that they kind of sell their services to role play family lives. It is kind. It's so this is a lot more kind of like a bizarre, creepy, psychological sort of thing. And I've heard if you've watched the Suicide Club, bits and pieces of what you see in this movie that you kind of go, I feel like there's more context to it. Will actually make more sense than the Suicide Club. However, this is not a horror movie. You and I heard sequel to the Suicide Club and thinking it's probably gonna be fairly bloody. Beyond the mass suicide attempt that's done by a bunch of these girls, there really isn't a lot in the way of actual, gore or violence. There's a lot of just, like psychological torment and drama. This is an amazingly well acted movie. I'm pretty sure I walked into it thinking more of along the lines of a thriller drama. I probably liked it more, but walking into it thinking this was going to be a horror film, and then having it have very little in the way of true actual horror, and having more of that sort of bizarre. These people are kind of faking the lives of loved ones when the loved ones don't want to be with you anymore. It kind of reminded me bits and pieces of kind of like the movie Recycle. Where you have one of her first jobs, she goes out with these people and she plays like a granddaughter, and then goes to another place and she's like their granddaughter. So it's basically all these older people who probably actually have families that don't want to see them. So instead to kind of hire people to give them that family life they don't actually have. Really interesting, lots of really deep concepts, beautifully written, wonderfully acted, but don't go into it expecting this to be, a ballsy, bloody, violent horror film.